Hi, welcome back to my channel. I thought about putting a bit of makeup on this morning, but I can't be bothered, and I always feel like it's actually true to my character really to just not care too much about what I am looking like, and I'm going to do a video about HSPs, highly sensitive people, and empaths, and the difference between these, because I have been someone that has not understood these differences and mistaken a highly sensitive person to have empathic traits, and not understood that someone was an empath because they didn't have highly sensitive traits. Because often, if you're following me, a highly sensitive person is an empath. You can be any of the above. So I personally am a highly sensitive empath. Am I highly sensitive? Yeah, I would say I'm a highly sensitive empath, but there are other empaths that are not highly sensitive. I've actually met narcissists that are highly sensitive, which I confused to be empaths, but they were not. They were narcissists. So that's interesting. And I've also met some, yeah, it's there's a big spectrum. I'm not saying anyone's bad, but it's interesting to know. So I'm going to be talking about how you can protect your energy a bit as an empath, to know the difference and how you're affected differently by each of these things. So as an empath, if you're an intuitive empath, you're more likely to be more in touch with like your spiritual side, and you can often find as being an empath, people dump stuff on you, and they don't really want to know you after sometimes. Like, that sounds like a bit of a rubbish scenario and a bit of a hopeless scenario, and to be honest it is. And I look back to when I was bullied in school. I always say bullied, I never even looked at it from that way until more recently when I'd done therapy, but I do remember there being a lot of people dumping on me and then basically not like taking responsibility for it, is basically using me as like a emotional vent. Not all of them, but I definitely remember getting that from lower school, when I was not lower school, from, you know, my bullying experience during school. So I definitely know how that feels, and I've definitely blocked that off a lot since having therapy and stuff. But there's more things I can do to, you know, make that better, make my energy field stronger, to avoid that sort of negative energy, if you like. And because it sounds like, and I haven't often looked at energy from that sort of mindset of thinking about it being actually energy, but this woman that I watched this video of said if you rub your hands together and you go like this, you can feel a bit of resistance. And the fact is, we can sometimes understand energy. I don't always like to look at things from an energy perspective, because I am such a spirit animal, where I literally sound so holistic right now, but I feel like I can be really hyper vigilant and stuff like that, and it just kind of confuses me to look at everything in an energy perspective. That's not really how I think. I'm quite analytical minded, and I'm quite like stuff like that. So like, thinking about it from that perspective is a nice way to think about. You can strengthen that energy field though. So moving swiftly on, if you're still like not in the realms of like, oh my god, she's so spiritual, she's so holistic, I am thinking about practical ideas right now. So there we go. Because you kind of have to, I found, or she said in this video, basically learn to manage these traits, because we're in like a world that is just not always very understanding of everything. Like, often you get great people in the world, but sometimes and often, especially in any sort of situation where either someone doesn't understand you, people won't always necessarily put you first and your needs first. So it's important to learn to manage your traits, as to not you know, let someone do something to you that you would find unhelpful, or just to manage yourself, because sometimes people don't know how to manage you, especially if you don't know how to manage yourself. And I've definitely found that in life, just feeling like I'm quite unmanageable because I didn't know how to manage my own emotions, and I'm just trying to improve on that. So HSPs, which is different to empaths. Oh, sorry, I'll carry on an empath first. I've just done a slightly different note. So empaths can be very intuitive. They have what this woman calls a BS meter, where basically you can just kind of suss out quite easily, not easily sometimes for everyone, but you just suss out when someone's not being like when something's a bit off, you know what I mean? And that could, you know, I'm not invalidating anyone else's experience. Some people may be attracting extra attention because they need it, and I never like to invalidate someone's experience, but from this perspective, if someone is being untruthful to what they're actually experiencing, it's quite easy to pick up as an empath sometimes. If you're like a low sensitivity empath, it might be a little bit harder. I honestly don't know if that's how it works. It probably doesn't work like that, but yeah, they can pick up on stuff. And they're quite sensitive to energy, whereas HSPs, which are highly sensitive people, and you can be a narcissist through this, or you can just be a non-narcissist, non-empath, somewhere in the middle, and still be a HSP. HSPs, highly sensitive people, I am going to call them HSPs because it's going to be really wordy to keep saying highly sensitive people, probably. So basically they can become highly sensitive due to trauma, or they can be highly sensitive through genetics, or both. And that's how you become highly sensitive. So they're very, very reactive to stimuli, so noises, you know, different people, like, yeah, busy environments, things like that. And empaths, basically, this woman was describing how she felt in a certain situation, and I can relate to this to a T, which is that if you have heavy, if there's an area or a place of heavy, dense energy, and you feel, she said she felt suffocated, and that she felt like strangled by all this heavy energy, and it's energy that's been left behind by someone else. And she said she could almost feel, sometimes you could feel physical pain from being in that dark, dense, thick, deep energy. And I literally can relate so much to that. Like, I literally feel like I was in a past relationship experience where I felt like that. And it's just so, it's so like strong, like just the effect it can have on you. And it's really something that a lot of people don't even relate to or understand. But people are affected in different ways. But it's like, you can be empowered in a lot of ways, which I'm going to go into in a sec. But what was I just going to say about that? But yeah, I think, yeah, I'll just say, which I think is related in this, how you can protect yourself. A lot of the time, as an empath, you can, basically, if you feel like you have, like, you can basically put other problems on yourself, other people's problems, and feel like you have to deal with all those problems, where, like, it's not actually you that has those problems. It's, like, kind of like, just, you're not, like, you're absorbing someone else's problems, be that, like, a friend or a family member or whatever. Especially if you're in childhood, if you've grown up an empath and you've grown up around narcissists or people that aren't empaths, you may be scapegoated into being the one to have to navigate all those feelings, where we know as well for a fact that you could do that, but the fact is, as a narcissist, you're always going to encounter issues in terms of that. You know, you're always going to encounter a lot of negative emotions and a lot of negative energy anyway, so you're really, like, not doing either you or them any good, really, because you're kind of scapegoating them. Sorry, you're disallowing them to manage their own traits, if that's something they plan to do. If they don't, then that's not really your issue, but it's like, if they're not managing their issue, they could also develop problems. I've noticed people in my life that haven't managed to deal with their issue of narcissism to lead up to bad life experiences as well. So it's important for them to be able to do that, and if you're always scapegoating them, they're going to find that difficult. Absorbing their energy, but it's not always something you're consciously doing. And I know I've definitely 100% been this person in the past. 100% I can relate to this so much in the past during school years, and I, especially through later school, managed to manage school a bit better, but I do remember there being times, especially from year 7 to year 9, when I was surrounded by my primary school friends, and even in primary school, that I just used to absorb all the energy of other people, and I just didn't know how to not, knowing that I had childhood trauma. My defences energetically were down, and that's the worst thing that you can have as an empath, if your defences are down, because then you just let in all that energy, and it's just really a recipe for just crap. So basically, to be empowered as an empath, or as a highly sensitive person, I think, to heal core wounds and to resurrect beliefs that you that attract negativity, because if you were doing that as a child. You could have developed some beliefs, which I've noticed that I've even had even as an adult when I used to go through them recently, like I have to fix other people's problems, and really this may have come slightly from physical stuff, but it could have just come from an energetic level where like I was surrounded by a lot of people in school and I didn't know how to manage myself, so I was absorbing a lot of people's energy, if that makes sense. I do also, though, from like a natural perspective, like to see people as like you know how trees, like they I'm not saying I'm a tree, but like trees, like they breathe in CO2 and breathe out oxygen, and narcissists kind of breathe in positive, sometimes even desperate energy, and they breathe out like confidence. So I like to see the world in slightly that way as well, because it just makes me feel like there's more faith in humanity, and that like we're not all these sort of like separate beings, and we are all sort of part of a like network. So I'm not saying like you have to do it, but obviously being more aware and like more like attuned to yourself, and more, you know, powerful in how you like actually assert yourself, and, you know, have a strong energetic field. It's just going to be more helpful. So basically healing, yeah, so you can have negative beliefs like I have to take on like everyone's issue, or like I have to like be as a highly sensitive person, you can often be someone that people run to with problems to get advice, because you know that they'll have like a strong intuition on something, and it's just about saying like I don't have to be that person that is like everyone's like, you know, person that someone runs to with a problem. Like I can look after myself, and I don't have to just be everyone's fixer all the time. So there we go. And basically, because if you do have these like negative beliefs that can be unconscious, you can just attract a lot of negativity. Like obviously if you have that belief, like I have done a whole video on the law of attraction, if you care to look, but the idea is that if you have a belief, you attract that what lines up to the belief. And it's just really, it is kind of, again, it's like another energy thing, or sometimes people just, because they have an analytical brain, they don't like to look at it from an energy perspective, and I would fall into that category as well. So, but it is kind of something that you might want to sort of just understand, because it's interesting and true. So basically healing like emotions from the past as well, like guilt, shame, and accepting yourself fully. Being kind and compassionate with yourself can strengthen your energy field, like I said, and stop absorbing negative energies from other people, and being more attuned to yourself. I think definitely in the last 2 years I've been more attuned to my own issues and not other people's. But it's just a really bad thing if you go through life just absorbing everyone's energy all the time, because it's so exhausting for you, and it's just not, it just shows that you have bad energy, you have bad like if you've had childhood trauma or whatever, like your defences are down. It's not like your fault. I only have 4 minutes left of recording minutes. I think we'll get there. It's not your fault, but it's also like, you know, like it's just what it is. So, yeah, great. So yeah, growth into like understanding these things and like living through life, picking up new things. Because for me, I have to say, like, one way that I get back to myself and grounding yourself is great, because it can just kind of be like, you can ask yourself like analytically, what is my issue, and what is there as kind of reasoning with negative beliefs that might come up at that time, which I've learned through therapy and stuff. But it's like I also like to ground myself in faith these days. Obviously now I'm not in therapy and stuff, it also helps me to take in that God side as well, which helps me just be like, gives me sort of faith and energy from him to like separate that stuff out and just like be with myself and be with him, and allow him to just sort of like guide me and just like give me a bit of perseverance in situations that like I might be experiencing those things, and just like faith and renewed understanding that all evil works together for good, and like God can heal us. And like I think there's even a quote in the Bible that says like, ask and you shall receive, or something, for things that he wishes for you. So if I'm like, God, please allow me to have a stronger energetic field, please allow me to feel better in myself, and just not be absorbing other people's negative rubbish, and help them to deal with that on their own, then God hopefully shall grant that to me. So there we go. and sometimes just understanding this stuff and dealing with your issues will basically allow you to like click out of autopilot and just like to like heal from the inside and just like become a stronger, more resilient, more independent person, where you're just basically, it's just because obviously by default you'll then be blaming other people and having like passive aggression, resentment and stuff towards people and things, where you are, you know, getting your energy diverted into a different we all have a different life path, and we all learn things along the way, so I'm not saying like you shouldn't there's no one track road to life a lot of the time. Right, I have one more minute to finish this, so I'm going to end it there. Thank you for listening, and I hope this was helpful, or whatever. Thanks, bye.